This is the story of how I went from making $20,000 a year to now making over 7 figures in net profit every single year. Back in 2018, it was about a year after I graduated high school, and I was working for my cousin's business, and they actually sold products on Amazon themselves, but it was a little bit of a different business model as most people do nowadays. They got their components sourced from overseas, and then they would have the products made in-house, and so I was the one helping produce their products. After high school, I knew that I didn't want to go to college because school just was not for me. I knew that I always wanted to be successful, but didn't necessarily know how I was going to get there. At the time, I wanted to be a rapper. Don't try to find my old music, you won't be able to, because I thought that that was the only way that people could get rich, because that's all I saw. But after high school, I was in a bit of an interesting spot in life. I had left home because of some family drama. I didn't have a car. I didn't have my license yet, so I was getting driven around by all my friends. And I again was working for my cousins, making about $12 to $13 an hour at the time, which was minimum wage back then. And with that hourly rate, I did get some raises over time, but I was making about $20,000 a year annually. And my cousins saw the position that I was in life, and they would always try to give me advice, motivate me, and they kept trying to encourage me and push me to start selling products on Amazon myself. But I wasn't really interested at the time because, again, I wanted to be a rapper. In fact, although I said that I wasn't going to go to college, I was about to go to LA recording school and spend $70,000 for 2 years of school. Meanwhile, how many famous rappers do you know who went to recording school? And I also wasn't the kid at the time who anyone would have ever thought to go on and start his own business. I partied a lot. I went to the raves, and if you know anything about raves, you know what comes with that. I was drinking, smoking, anything and everything in between, so it wasn't necessarily on a straight and narrow path. Now, my cousins were always very supportive of my goals and dreams, but being that the position that I was in and they saw that, they still kept trying to encourage me to go and start selling products on Amazon. And there was finally 2 things that convinced me. Number 1 was my cousins showed me their sales for the day on one of their Amazon accounts. Now, this wasn't to brag or to boast or anything like that, but simply to motivate me. And I remember at the time, and this was only like 8 months into them starting their business, he showed me sales for $2,000 in top-line revenue, and I had never seen numbers like that, let alone for 1 day of sales. And the reason seeing my cousin's sales was so significant to me is because I knew the position that they were in before they started selling products on Amazon. They were barely making it by, trying to pay their rent in a 1-bedroom apartment, and then they went on to start their Amazon business, were leasing brand new cars, got a brand new house, and I saw their life completely change. And then he also showed me this video of a 24-year-old girl who was making $40,000 a month selling products on Amazon, and this just blew my mind, because not a diss to this lady or anything, but she just looked like a everyday person, somebody that I went to high school with. Wasn't your stereotypical businesswoman with a suit, Harvard graduate or whatever. It was just an everyday person making money selling products online. And after seeing those 2 things, I was all ears. And so from that point on, I started to invest my time into learning how to sell products on Amazon, started to do product research, started to find ways to develop the product that I had found. There was still the issue that I was broke and didn't have money. So I went to my cousins and asked them if I could work overtime, 12-hour days, 6 days a week, for me to save up enough money to actually go start my business. And for them, this was music to their ears, because remember, they produced their products in-house, so the more I worked, the more products that they produced, so this was a win-win. And so that's exactly what I would do. I would work on my Amazon business, developing the product, contacting manufacturers. With whatever time that I had before work, I would go in, work my 12-hour day, and then whatever time that I had before I went to bed, when I got home, I would continue to work on the business. And while this was all going on, I decided to completely change my life around. I figured that if I was going to be in a position of owning a business, then all the childish things that I was doing had to go. I cut out partying, I cut out the raves, I cut out smoking, drinking. I stopped hanging out with people because I wanted to invest all of my time into this business. I was all in. And so I kept my head down and I kept working and kept working. I was developing the product. I finally found a manufacturer. I started coming up with ways to stand out and differentiate that product from the competition so I can actually add value and stand out in a competitive market. And then finally, in December of 2018, my bulk order was finally complete from my manufacturer, and I had those products sent over to Amazon's fulfillment centers. And I remember officially launching my product January 1st, 2019. And I didn't know it then, but that day my life completely changed. I remember telling my cousin right before I launched that I would be happy to sell 300 units, which was what my very first order was, in just 6 months, which is less than 1 unit a day. And he was like, I think you're selling yourself short. I think it's gonna do a lot better than that. Little did I know, he was right. Within 1 month of selling that first product on Amazon, I had gotten the #1 bestseller badge in my subcategory, which if you know anything about selling products on Amazon, the bestseller badge is huge. My very first month, I did $10,000 in top-line revenue profitably on Amazon, and I sold out of those 300 units my very first month. Luckily, my manufacturer was in California, so the turnaround time to get more units was not long. And as the months went on, I started to grow the business even more. I went from $10,000 months to $20,000 months to $30,000 months. And I remember so many people around my circle who doubted me, didn't think that I was going to make it. But then they saw all the traction that I was getting in the business, and those same people were like, Luke, we knew you'd always do it. I knew I had something with this Amazon thing, so I started to go all in even more than I already was, trying to scale that current product that I had, and then I started to introduce new products to my line. And once I started to see success in my Amazon business, I was able to go out and get my very first car, a brand new Honda Civic. I finally got my license, of course. I got a brand new apartment, and my life completely changed. Now fast forward 5 years from when I launched that very first product on Amazon to today, now owning multiple 7-figure brands on Amazon. I went from that lost kid who had no direction, who was partying all the time, who wasn't hanging around the right people, to now being financially free, being able to essentially go wherever I want, whenever I want, being able to support my family, which is one of the biggest blessings along this journey. And none of that would have happened had I not believed in myself and put in the work. I mean, nobody else was betting on me. In fact, I had a vice principal in high school who told me that I would be lucky to work at McDonald's had I kept going down the path that I was going. And as the famous 50 Cent would say, this is God's plan, homie. It ain't mine. And I don't tell this story to brag and boast and be like, oh, look where I am today and look at all the things that I have. But if I can just inspire one person who is in a similar position as me to see where I came from to where I am now, that's the goal of this video. From not being able to even drive myself to work every day because I didn't have a car or license, to now being able to travel all around the world whenever I want, wherever I want, take care of the ones that I love. Outside of my mom, my cousins, and my best friend, nobody else believed in me in this journey. But all that mattered is that I saw the vision, that I believed, and that I put in the work. And if the kid who was going out, partying, drinking, smoking every night could go on and completely turn his life around, I genuinely believe that success is right there on the table for the taking for anybody out there if you put in the work. And with that, if you want to learn my exact tips and strategies that I use to go from 0 to 7 figures selling on Amazon, check out my Amazon private label mentorship program in the description of this video. And for more Amazon FBA videos, don't forget to subscribe and like this video. And as always, have a blessed day, everybody.